It's time to rise and shine and start your Saturday out with some video game news, because there are a couple stories circulating that I definitely want to cover. First off, I want to talk a bit more about Contra Road Course, because I thought about something after I made my video and I came up with a new hypothesis, but my hypothesis was absolutely destroyed. Sakurai talks about adding in big characters like Goku and Iron Man into Smash, and finally Capcom has done something right. They've actually made Nintendo Switch owners happy, and I'm not quite sure how to react to this. So all that and much more in today's video. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about what's going on in the world of video game news.
Hey, RGT85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my god, it's Stevie Richards! So first off, I want to talk a bit more about Contra Road Course, because it was a game that, honestly, I was kind of looking forward to. I thought it might actually be a decent Contra experience. Sure, it looked a little different in terms of gameplay, but I was still somewhat looking forward to the game. And then, of course, we got the demo. I played through the demo a couple times, I made a video on it, and honestly, I was just kind of disgusted by the demo. Like, it didn't look very good. It looked absolutely disgusting in terms of graphics. And, of course, the gameplay itself wasn't really all that fun. It just felt like a random twin-stick shooter with Contra elements thrown into it. But then I thought about something after I made that video. I was like, well, you know, the graphics do suck on the Nintendo Switch version of the game. It looks horrible in handheld mode, it looks horrible in docked mode, but it is a multi-platform release. It is coming out on other platforms too. So I'm sure the PS4 and the Xbox One version would admittedly look better than the Nintendo Switch version. Well, my buddy over at Tillman Domination, who I've known for quite a while, actually did a side-by-side comparison of the PS4 Pro version of the demo versus the Nintendo Switch version of the demo, and guess what? They both look like ass. Like, I don't understand how Konami screwed this up so bad. This has to be one of the worst looking PS4 games that's going to be out on the market. It does not look good. It still has those same low resolution textures. Like, yeah, some elements look a little bit better on the PS4 Pro, but this is absolutely absurd. Konami is just quickly undoing all of the goodwill that they did with the Castlevania collection and the Contra collection by doing things like Contra Road Course that just looks like such a low budget release. And of course, the fact that Castlevania Grimoire of Souls, which actually looks like a fun Castlevania game, is a mobile game. So Konami, you're pissing me off. You're pissing off a lot of gamers. You need to get this right. Like, it's not a hard thing to do here. Make a decent Contra, make a decent Castlevania that's available on all platforms, and people probably would be happy with you. Next up, Tokyo Game Show 2019 is well underway, and honestly, it's been kind of quiet. We got some Death Stranding stuff. We, of course, got some information on Yakuza 7, which just looks absolutely bonkers and off the rail, but we actually just got some new information about Final Fantasy VII Remake that's admittedly pretty exciting. Now, when you look at Final Fantasy VII's Remake, it looks like a beautiful game. It's obviously more of an action RPG, and I think that actually works for this game. You know, the turn-based combat system is kind of something that was a big thing in the 90s and 2000s. Sure, there are a lot of people that still like turn-based combat, but I feel like the action RPG elements are actually going to help this game. But what if you are one of those people that actually prefers the turn-based combat system? Are you going to feel alienated by Final Fantasy VII Remake's more action-oriented combat? Well, Square Enix just announced that no, there's actually going to be a more traditional turn-based combat system within this game that you can actually activate, so that way it's not necessarily an action RPG, but it's more of the turn-based classic Final Fantasy VII RPG that you grew up playing, and that admittedly is absolutely astonishing. I did not expect Square Enix to include this game mode into the game. Obviously, this game is a huge budget release. It's probably going to span out across a couple different games to get the full Final Fantasy VII, experience as we've seen so far, but this is definitely a very positive thing for the game. I think that's very exciting for people who have that sort of nostalgia for that classic turn-based RPG system. So, kudos to Square Enix. I think they're really taking their time with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think they're really creating a great game and a quality game that people that grew up playing Final Fantasy VII or even newer fans of Final Fantasy VII will really enjoy. Konami, take notes from Square Enix, because they actually know what they're doing here. Next up, let's talk a little bit about Smash Bros. Ultimate, because we recently got some information during the last Nintendo Direct that there's going to be more characters implemented into Smash Bros. Ultimate. Originally, it seemed like there was only going to be 5 new characters, and of course, we've learned about all of these characters so far, minus one of them. We got information about Joker, we got information about Hero from the Dragon Quest series, we of course got information on Banjo-Kazooie, and then we got information on Terry from the SNK games, but the 5th character slot was definitely open. But then they said that they're doing more characters character slots, so people got happy. And because of that, people's imagination started to run wild with different characters and things like that. And one of the most anticipated characters for Smash Brothers, one of the most requested characters for Smash Brothers has to be Goku. Now, admittedly, I don't know shit about Dragon Ball Z. Like, I tried to watch a couple episodes of Dragon Ball Z when I was in my early 20s, and like, I just didn't understand what was going on. But to say that Dragon Ball Z is a huge cultural phenomenon would be a bit of an understatement. Like, it's absolutely huge. There, of course, have been things like video games and the manga, and of course, the animated series that people just absolutely love. They can't get enough of Dragon Ball Z. So because of that, they want the main representative of Dragon Ball, Goku, to be in the game. Well, Sakurai said, go to hell because you're not getting Goku in the game. He didn't really say go to hell or anything like that, but he pretty much closed the door on characters like Goku being in the game. Basically, at a Japanese game award show, Sakurai was asked about the inclusion of different characters and whether we'd see different characters from outside of video games, to which Sakurai said he understood that people wanted characters like Goku and Iron Man to be in the game, but was not going to put them in the game because he's really focusing on video game related characters. And like I said, I definitely get that. To me, Smash Brothers Ultimate is a celebration of video games throughout the years, video game characters throughout the years. And although Goku and characters like Iron Man have been in video games, of course, they didn't get their start in video games. They're not known for their video games, they're known for outside things. So I definitely get Sakurai's stance on this. Now, of course, some people think, well, maybe Sakurai is just trolling, because of course he said that Ridley wasn't going to ever be in a Smash Brothers game, and then Ridley came along and was in a Smash Brothers game. But to me personally, I kind of understand this sentiment. I get where he's coming from with this. I definitely think there's so many awesome video game characters throughout the years. You don't really have to dip into things like anime and comic related characters in order to flesh out the Smash Brothers universe, but I know there's going to be a lot of people unhappy that Goku will probably never come to Smash. Next off, a game that I'm really looking forward to in 2019 that literally nobody else cares about finally has a release date. We're putting on our hype hats, we're putting on our train conductor hats, because the Pine Hype Train is pulling into the station on October 10th for the PC and Nintendo Switch. Now, what is Pine? Pine essentially was a game that we learned about during a Nintendo Indie Direct, and I thought it looked absolutely fantastic. It looked like a Breath of the Wild clone, and because of that, people were like, Zelda clone, who wants to play a Zelda clone? And I'm like, Breath of the Wild came out over 2.5 years ago. Why would you not want to play a Breath of the Wild style game? And when did Zelda clones become a bad thing? We're gonna start poo-pooing on Mario clones from now on? Oh, look at this 3D platformer that looks like Super Mario 64. I don't want to play that. Like, get the hell out of here. You got people like Jason from the Hey J channel. I remember we talked about this game on the Class vs. Crass podcast over on his channel. That's every Sunday night at 8 p.m. And he was like, oh, this game looks stupid. I don't want to play it. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you not want to play a game that's like Breath of the Wild? A lot of us have played and beaten and experienced Breath of the Wild. We want other styles of games that sort of remind us of Breath of the Wild to come out. So I'm all aboard the Pine Hype Train. I'm really looking forward to this game. I hope it doesn't disappoint me. It probably will, because that's just how I get. I get hyped over these random games and then they end up sucking. But I'm on the Pine Hype Train. It comes out on October 10th. Hop on the Pine Hype Train. Hashtag Pine Hype Train in the comments down below. And finally, we started out this video talking about one of the companies that I love to hate, Konami. And we're going to finish this video by talking about one of the companies that I love to hate, Capcom. But Capcom did something good. Capcom actually made Nintendo Switch owners smile. Capcom made Nintendo Switch owners happy. And I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this feeling of goodness when it comes to Capcom. So basically, of course, we learned about the Mega Man ZX collection a few weeks ago on the channel. We talked about it on the channel. It is a compilation of the Mega Man ZX games that have come out over the years. There's a whole bunch of different games in classic Capcom style. There's going to be added stuff in there, like a museum and character artwork and things like that. Very cool stuff. But we have seen these compilations before on the Nintendo Switch when it comes to Mega Man games, and there's always been a problem with them. Always been half of the game has been on the cartridge and the other half you had to download it, and it was absolutely ridiculous. You saw this with the Mega Man Legacy collection, and it's like, these are essentially NES games. Like, why do I have to download extra stuff? Why can't you put it all on the cartridge? We saw it with the Mega Man Legacy X collection, same sort of thing. You had to download half the stuff. Well, Capcom has learned their lesson, because yesterday they announced that Mega Man ZX collection will be available on the entire disc or cartridge if you are a Nintendo Switch owner, with no additional downloads needed. And Capcom, you did it. You did it. You made me talk really good about you, because I think this is fantastic. Of course, you've done other stupid stuff. The whole Resident Evil price scheme is still, that still pisses me off. But this is a step forward in the right direction. Put putting the whole game on the cartridge so that I don't have to download anything is very smart in my opinion, and I definitely will buy this game simply on the principle that you are putting the whole game on the cartridge. I never really played the Mega Man ZX games. I played the first one that came out on the Nintendo DS. I thought it was really cool. Somewhat of a different style of Mega Man. It's got that Metroidvania feel to it. Of course, Inti Creates is the company behind these games. I really enjoy Inti Creates games lately, so I'm looking forward to checking out these games. But good job, Capcom. You did something good. You did something right, and for that, I have to give you credit. Alright, so that was a couple stories that were floating around the internet that I definitely wanted to talk about. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of everything. Are you going to be checking out the Mega Man ZX collection, considering that it's all going to be on the cartridge? What do you think of Goku not being in Smash? Is Konami absolutely driving you crazy? And are you on the Pine Hype train? Are you on the Pine Hype train? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.